تخرج الميت من الحي وترزق من تشاء بغير حساب. He Azza wa Jal says in verse 26 and 27 in Surah Al-Imran the following. Say, O Allah, Lord of all power, you grant power unto whom you will, and you take away power from whom you will. You extend honor to whom you will, and you dishonor whom you will. In your hand is all good. Verily, you have power over all things. You turn night into longer by shortening the day, and you make day grow longer by shortening the night. And you bring forth living out of that which is dead, and you bring forth dead out of that which is alive. And you grant sustenance unto whom you like. You, and though you will, and beyond all reckoning is your reach. Brothers and sisters, Allah Azza wa Jal says the power to honor and dishonor belongs to Him. Power to give power and take power away belongs to Him. In the last few weeks, months, years, you may have felt very disempowered by the constant attack. Richard Littlejohn wrote a mocking, satirical article, he said, in the newspaper called Daily Mail. It's a shame even to have such a newspaper, for it doesn't deserve to be called a newspaper. It doesn't spend much time writing anything constructive, but belittling, mocking, and it has a pastime almost, obsession in attacking Islam and the Muslims on a regular basis. But what do you expect from a people who are only interested in sensationalizing, creating hatred, and creating division in the community? He mocked the Muslims in a very deriding way. And that mockery went deeper than just mocking an event. It demonstrated his hatred and disdain towards Islam and the Muslim community in this country. But you know what, brothers and sisters? I feel sorry for him. For people like Richard Littlejohn, their knowledge of Islam is very little. They have learned Islam from hearsay. They've learned Islam by cut and paste job that they have been doing using Google. They've learned about Islam and the Muslims from the bad and the rotten examples that they have seen around. They haven't taken their time out to go and study Islam even for a minute, objectively and fairly. And the media, unfortunately, is responsible for creating a huge amount of hysteria and misinformation in our country. And this is unfortunate. Muslims are constantly feeling under siege. I spoke to a friend of mine who has just come back from South Africa yesterday. He said to me, I arrive at Heathrow Airport and I pick up a newspaper. A newspaper headline in this country is halal meat and kosher meat should be banned. He goes, I'm astonished. In South Africa, we don't have discussions like that. Muslims, Christians, and the Jews and people of other faith are all equal. Nobody would dare attack other people's sensitivity in the way the newspapers in this country would do. Nobody would. Because I'm astonished. I'm shocked to see the deprivation, the depraved mindset of the journalists of UK. Why would they find such excitement in banning somebody else's religious choice? What excitement do you gain? What do you gain by banning somebody's religious ritual? Apparently, halal meat causes animals more cruelty than the conventional method. How do you know that? How do you know that? The animals haven't spoken out to give you that expression. We deduce that by researching and using scientific methods. Who else would know a better method than the creator of the universe, the one who created the animals and the one who created the humanity, who has given permission for us to eat the meat, and he has given a methodology by which we should slaughter, minimizing the cruelty and pain to the animals. It won't be your method, Mr. Whoever you are, criticizing the halal rituals. No, it's not going to be your method because you're a human being. Your knowledge is not the knowledge of Allah. You have no power except the power of Allah Azza wa Jal. You don't know what is good for an animal. You don't know what is bad for an animal. You don't. You keep dogs in your houses, and that dog would... remember, only a few weeks ago, a dog ate the head of a baby. Little baby was left in the house. A dog ate the head of a baby. You talk about cruelty to animals. What about normality in life? This hypocrisy is baffling. I was reading yesterday or day before yesterday, a lady who's a postwoman, she would deliver letters. Her leg was bitten off by a wild dog that was kept in the house of the owner. More than 5 to 10,000 reports of attack against human being by dogs, especially on the post office workers when they go to deliver letters. Talk about cruelty to animals. These dogs are not supposed to be in your homes. They're called wild dogs. They're supposed to be kept somewhere else. So this narrow understanding of what is right and what is wrong, this subjective understanding, this biased understanding, comes from a disdain, hatred on the part of some people, and complete ignorance on the other. I remember meeting somebody called Rod Liddell, another Times columnist. He met me in central London and he wanted to talk about Islam. And I spoke to him at length. And I said, Rod, I'm astonished you write for the Times newspaper. In fact, you have a column every Sunday in the Sunday Times. And your knowledge of Islam is less than my 5-year-old girl's. He couldn't take it. I said, I tell you, I challenge you, give me a name of a book that you've read. He couldn't give me a name of a book that he had read. One book for a Sunday Times columnist. One book on Islam. And yet they start writing prolific commentary about the lives of Muslims and Islam and how right and how wrong it is. It is shocking. Brothers and sisters, I want you to refer back to the verse of the Quran that I read before. قُلِ اللَّهُمَّ مَالِكَ الْمُلْكِ تُؤْتِ الْمُلْكَ مَنْ تَشَاءُ وَتَنْزِعُ الْمُلْكَ مِمَّنْ تَشَاءُ وَتُعِزُّ مَنْ تَشَاءُ وَتُذِلُّ مَنْ تَشَاءُ بِيَدِكَ الْخَيْرِ إِنَّكَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. Allah is the power of all power. He gives power to whom He likes, and He takes away power from whom He likes. He gives honor to whom He likes, and He takes away honor from whom He likes. And to Him belongs the power, to Him belongs all power. These articles may do some damage, but more people would be interested in learning about Islam, because that's how Allah turns these events into the positive empowerment of His deen. I know so many incidents like that. A brother was telling me yesterday in my office, he came to see me and he said to me, he was in Houston in America. And he was there during the time of Lee Rigby's murder in London. And Houston Bible Belt was up in arms, raving and raging against the Muslims and Islam in every way possible. One of his friends, who was also from a family of those who believed in Christianity in that fundamentalist way, one of his friends came from that family. And he apparently saw an interview that I gave against the Lee Rigby murder. And he saw that interview. And he changed his mind, and he then went around speaking to people. One family after another, one family after another. He made it his mission to tell people that Muslims are not the way that you're describing. Allah turns small events and turns the hearts and minds of other people, even though there is negative publicity about Muslims and against Muslims. I want you to know, brothers and sisters, that you should not react or overreact against such people. If Little John wants to write, let him write 20 more. My invitation to Richard Little John is come and spend an hour with us. Learn about Islam. I remember when Sebastian Faulk, who was a great writer, prolific novelist, as you probably know, an English novelist who has received awards after awards, he wrote against the Quran in one of the Sunday Times supplements. He wrote that Quran brought nothing to the world except violence. He said Quran brought nothing to the world except violence and hatred. Those were his words. And I received a phone call from one of the newspapers saying, brother, what do you say about Sebastian's comment against the Quran? And I, laughingly, almost jokingly, said to the newspaper, well, I think the Quran Sebastian is reading is not the Quran I read. I would like to give him a gift. I will give him my copy of the Quran if Sebastian is willing to have coffee with me. If he's willing to meet me and talk to me, I will give him my copy of the Quran. And maybe once he's read the copy of the Quran that I read, we can have a conversation. And this newspaper published my statement on the newspaper next day. And Sebastian's office called me saying, yes, he's interested in meeting you. He met, we spoke. Guess what? He wrote an apology the following week saying, I'm sorry, I got it wrong. I got it wrong. Their knowledge is this little when it comes to Islam. I don't blame them, my brothers and sisters. You know why I don't blame them? Because we don't do enough to change their views. We don't do enough to put out the right views out over there to the public domain. We don't. We fight and bicker. We constantly cause trouble from within. And they just laugh and they say, see, Muslims are fighting between themselves. What is halal meat? Muslims are fighting between themselves. So they say, yeah, okay, Muslims are going to be fighting about it. Let's have a heyday about it. Let's have a great time criticizing and attacking the Muslims because they haven't agreed between themselves as to what is halal meat for themselves. Why? Have a fight. Why? Why have a fight? They called me up yesterday saying, could you do an interview on halal meat? I said, no, I've got better things to do. Please come and do an interview. No, I'm not interested. I'm not interested in doing an interview with you because you're sensationalizing a story at the back of a person who has made a statement. Brothers and sisters, Allah is the source of all power. He is the source of all honor. He is the source of everything in the world. If you wish power, Allah will give it to you, but you have to do the right thing. If you wish to be honored, you have to do the right thing to be honored. If you don't do the right thing, forget about honor, forget about being powerful. You and I will remain disempowered. Yesterday somebody called me up and said, oh, brother, somebody messaged me on my Facebook. He said to me, you are a kafir, you are a munafiq, you are a murtad. He said this to me. This is his opening, the Muslim brother. I wrote back to him, wa alaikum assalam, and what made you think that? He goes to me, your boss, David Cameron, pays you for your khutbahs. I said to him, I've never met David Cameron in my life. In fact, if I was paid for my khutbah, if I was paid by a mosque every single day of my work in the last 20 years, I'd be somewhere else today. 20 years I've been leading Juma. Not a single day have I taken a single penny from a single mosque. Mr. Cameron paid my bill. Why would I be in debt if I was taking money from Mr. Cameron? How dare you speak like that? No. My shuyukh, he wrote, my shuyukh have takfired you, called me a kafir. Really? Which are these shuyukh? Do they have a name? Can I meet them? No, they're afraid. If you meet them, we'll get them arrested. Look at the psychotic mindset of some people. It's a self-serving one, isn't it? We will be able to use a pseudonym behind the screen. We'll say anything we like. We'll spread fitna and backbite and slander you all over the world. But we don't want to meet you because if we do, you're going to get arrested. What am I going to do after that? And I wrote to him saying, if this is your mindset, there is nothing I can do except pray to Allah. Allah guides you in your hearts. That's all I can do. And when we fight within ourselves, this is the most dishonorable thing you can think of. وَتُعِزُّ مَنْ تَشَاءُ وَتُذِلُّ مَنْ تَشَاءُ. He gives honor to whom he likes, and he dishonors those of us who behave like this. Dishonors for those of us who behave like this. So Richard Littlejohn, the MP who proposed the banning on the halal meat, the MPs who are debating the banning of the niqab, any other articles, let them come. Let them come. Let's challenge them. But before we challenge them, my brothers and sisters, should we not be united as a brother and a sister in deen? Should we not be united as a community of people because we believe in the same message? We pray in the same direction. We have the same qibla. We have the same Quran. We have the same prophet. We have the same philosophy and ideology. We have the same destination. Should we not unite first? I want to criticize these people, but I encounter them every day for you. I face them. I get the challenge.